What's up, everybody? You already know who it is. It's DripGodDero, and I'm back at you guys with another bang. So in today's video, we will be breaking down the Eastern and Western Conference Finals for the NBA playoffs. Now, as we all know, the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference semifinals was very interesting. You could say that there were a couple of upsets, and with all that being said, that does make for an entertaining conference finals for both the Western and Eastern conferences. So with all that being said, we're not going to delay this video too much. Before I do get into the topic, shout out to all you guys for all the support that you've been showing on the channel. I appreciate it a lot. And hey, keep showing that support if you want great NBA quality videos. But without further ado, let's switch over and let's get right into it. All right, so to start off, let's talk about the Eastern Conference. So as we know, the Boston Celtics, they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals by beating the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, they beat them pretty easily. It was a 4-1, pretty much a gentleman's sweep. And when it comes to the Indiana Pacers, they had a very tough series against the New York Knicks. It really came down to the wire, and for that seventh game, the Indiana Pacers, they put their big boy pants on and they got it done. They ended up beating the number 2 seeded New York Knicks. So with that being said, let's talk about this series. Now, the most important players in this series for the Boston Celtics is Jason Tatum and Kristaps Porzingis. Now, the reason I say Kristaps Porzingis and Jason Tatum is due to Jason Tatum during his prior series against the Cleveland Cavaliers and just in the playoffs in general. He actually has been struggling. He hasn't been scoring the ball very efficiently overall. If you just look at his stats, you can see that overall, when it comes to his efficiency, his field goal percentage is 43% and his three-point percentage is 28% on 6 attempts. So overall, with Jason Tatum being the best player on your team, you want him to play way better. You definitely want him to play way better and actually play efficiently. Now with Porzingis, like I was saying, we don't know if he will play or not, but if he does play, he definitely brings a different dimension to this team due to him being damn near 6'2", 6'3", and can shoot the ball. He can shoot the ball very well from the 3. So with him being on the team, it could definitely, just bring different dimensions to this team. Another key player besides those two is, I would say, Derek White and also Drew Holiday, just because defensively they can definitely slow down the opposing guards for this Indiana Pacers team. With the Indiana Pacers, as we know, the Indiana Pacers do have Tyrese Halliburton, a player who can pretty much do it all, can pass, can shoot, can, do everything. And you definitely want players like Drew Holiday and Derek White to slow down him, because he is the engine for that Indiana Pacers team. Now, to switch over to the Indiana Pacers, the key players within the Indiana Pacers, in my opinion, will be Miles Turner, and also it will be Pascal Siakam. Pascal Siakam was actually the top scorer for this team during the postseason, so you definitely want him to continue doing what he's doing. He's been shooting 53% from the field, which is amazing. Of course, Tyrese Halliburton, he brings a lot to the table as well. He's been very efficient during this series, or during the playoffs, 37% from the 3, and also 49% field goal, so definitely fairly efficient. But I do, like I said before, I do want to just put more of an emphasis on Miles Turner, because with Kristaps Porzingis possibly not being in this series, that does bring more room for Miles Turner to, have more of an offensive mind. And what I mean by that is that with them having Miles Turner, as we know, Miles Turner, he can space the floor. He's been shooting very well from three at 45% on 5 attempts per game during the postseason. And if the Boston Celtics don't have Kristaps Porzingis, they can't really slow that down too much, Also, Miles Turner is their best rebounder. So with that being said, you definitely want to see Miles Turner, step up even more than he already has. He stepped up a lot during this postseason, but you want him to step up even more. But to get down to my prediction on this series, I do have the Boston Celtics winning this series in 6. The reason I have them winning is just because defensively they are the better team. They have a lot of good guards who can slow down Tyrese Halliburton. Also, when it comes to Pascal Siakam, you got Jaylen Brown, who's been playing fairly well and fairly consistent during the postseason. And also Jason Tatum, who, even though he hasn't played great offensively, he still is pretty good defensively. So I think, just how defensively minded this Celtics team is, that they will be able to slow down the offense of the Indiana Pacers. So once again, I got the Boston Celtics in 6 against the Indiana Pacers. Now let's switch over to the Western Conference, where we have the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Dallas Mavericks. Now, as we know, when it came to these two teams, the Minnesota Timberwolves, they beat the reigning champions and the Denver Nuggets in a 7-game series. 4 wins for Minnesota, 3 for the Denver Nuggets. Now, the Dallas Mavericks, they upsetted the OKC Thunder. They ended up winning that series 4-2. And man, this should definitely be an interesting series. As you guys know, born and raised in Dallas. So shout out to Dallas. I'm proud of where they are, but I do have to be objective. And in my opinion, I think that the Timberwolves will win this series. Now, the reason I got the Timberwolves winning this series, and the key focal players within this series will be Karl-Anthony Towns and also Jaden McDaniels. Now, the reason I got these two as the two focal players, or the two most important players, is just because Karl-Anthony Towns, he's a player that the Dallas Mavericks won't really have any answers for. It'll be similar to the previous series where the Denver Nuggets didn't really have an answer for Karl-Anthony Towns, but it'll be worse. At least with the Denver Nuggets, they had a little more size than this Dallas Mavericks team. But, the Dallas Mavericks, they don't really have that size. Denver, they had Michael Porter Jr., who, although he was pretty skinny, he still has some size. He's like 6'10". They also had Aaron Gordon, who isn't as tall as Michael Porter, but he has more strength. So with that being said, the Dallas Mavericks, they don't really have that versatility. Also, when it comes to Jaden McDaniels, the reason I got him as a second focal point for this team is just because he will more than likely be the player who will be defending Luka Doncic. And overall, Jaden McDaniels has been playing great defense. And defense is the name of the game for this team, man. You got Anthony Edwards playing great defense. Jaden McDaniels playing great defense. Off the bench, you got Nickeil Alexander-Walker playing great defense. You even got players like Naz Reid who can switch when needed and play good defense. And I think that's really going to slow this Dallas Mavericks team down. Another reason why I just got the Dallas Mavericks losing this series, and just to switch over to the Dallas Mavericks, man, the reason I got them losing this series is just because with this team, for the most part, Luka Doncic does it all. He's the leader when it comes to points, rebounds, and assists. Now, I know Kyrie Irving is there, and he's been playing pretty well, but when you got one player who was doing most of the work overall, it's bound to be a disaster in the playoffs if you run into a really good defensively minded team, aka the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, the key players for this series will be Luka Doncic. The reason I say that is because, like I said, he's leading the team in scoring, rebounds, and assists. Can he do that on a great defensive team in the Minnesota Timberwolves? We will have to see. It will be interesting. I say the other key player will be Kyrie Irving, their star. The reason I say that is just because more than likely the Minnesota Timberwolves, they will have some type of game plan to try to slow down Luka Doncic. And with them trying to slow down Luka Doncic, that does give more room for opportunity to Kyrie Irving, who just over the postseason has only been averaging 21 points per game. I could definitely see that going up in this series if he has more room for opportunity. But we never know. You never know. They do have Mike Conley over there on the Minnesota Timberwolves side, and he's a pretty good defender. So I just don't know, man. I just don't know. It should be interesting. But hey, that's my breakdown on this series. You guys tell me down below who you think will win the Eastern Conference Finals and who you think will win the Western Conference Finals. Once again, for the Eastern Conference Finals, I got the Celtics in 6. For the Western Conference Finals, I got the Minnesota Timberwolves in 6. It hurts my heart because I'm from Dallas, but I got to keep it real and unbiased. But hey, if you enjoyed this video, you already know what to do. Like the motherfucking video, comment on the motherfucking video, subscribe to the motherfucking channel, turn on notifications and all that good stuff, and I'm out. Peace.